On today's program, we'll discuss what the Catholic Church thinks about divorced and cohabitating couples and the LGBT community. But first, Salafism is best perhaps known for the ideologies of Salafi jihadism, such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. It is actually comprised, however, of many fundamentalist Islamic movements whose followers consider themselves the only, quote, saved, unquote, sect of Islam. Salafism has been little studied and is poorly understood, but to discuss the emergence and the development of Salafism into a prominent religious movement in Lebanon and the Levant is Robert Rabil, professor of political science at Florida Atlantic University. He is also the author of a new book, Salafism in Lebanon, From Apoliticism to Transnational Jihadism. Robert, welcome to the program. A timely topic, particularly with respect to the extremism labels being thrown around, the fundamentalist labels being thrown around, yes, with the activity in the Middle East, with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The book is really a return to the history, the evolution, the development of fundamentalist tendencies
of Salafism
in Islam, which
yes,
you label as Salafism.
Yes.
So yes, I don't think the general public, however, is really all too, neither was I before reading the book, with the term Salafism.
Okay.
Can we start
Absolutely,
there?
Absolutely. First, I thank you for having me here.
Sure.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Salafism comes from the Arabic root word Salaf. And Salaf, to them, the adherent or the Salafist, it means the golden age of Islam. The golden age of Islam, where you had especially a period of time that goes from 632 until 661, where you had the first four rightly guided caliph, or the companions of the Prophet, who ruled and expanded the Muslim world. According to them, this constitutes the golden age of Islam. Now, how this came about is that Salafi movement is a movement that would like to create a Salaf society modeled after the one that existed during that golden age of Islam. Now, Salafism is more. With time, you have the companion, you have the follower of the companion, and you have the followers of the followers of the companion. So it's all that era. But what stands out is the golden age that they would like to emulate. What they say, to apply the prophetic model. What did Prophet Muhammad do? How did he think? How did he act? And let's do that. Why? Because they believe that Islam has gone through crisis, not now, mainly from the first Umayyad dynasties that existed. And they believe that they should go to the authentic ways as applied by the Salaf. So the ancestors of Islam.
The book traces the history, the development, the political struggles,
yes,
of mainly the people in the Levant, with respect to the Salafistic movement.
Okay.
So how do we understand then Salafism today? What is it? What is happening today with respect to this movement?
All right, this movement now, you have to look at it as a global religious movement. And mainly, I studied through the Levant, but the ideology did not emerge from the Levant. The ideology took place in many places in the Muslim world. It took place under the Abbasid, after the Abbasid, during the Ottoman Empire, and especially when the West penetrated and colonized the Middle East. So you don't have only one period of time. But what happened now as we look at it, Salafism as an ideology is not confined to one place. And this is why it's a global religious movement.
Right.
It is active in the Levant now, and especially in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, right, where they feel that they have the society which has become somehow receptive to the ideology of Salafism, to go back to the authentic ways of Islam as applied by the companions and the followers of the companions of the Prophet.
So within Islam, you have
yes,
this movement Salafism,
yes,
right?
Correct.
That is a return to the authenticity
yes,
of the Islamic Prophet Muhammad and his message.
Yes.
So, but within Salafism now,
yes,
you have various movements.
Correct. Absolutely right.
What are they?
All right. Mainly you have three movements. As I mentioned to you from the beginning, they all Salafists would like to bring about the Salaf society. Now, how to bring it about, they disagreed They disagree over how to bring it about. We have what I call the quietist Salafi. The quietist Salafis, I believe now it is not the time to be involved in politics or jihad. Now the time is to go ahead and educate Muslims, indoctrinate Muslims. And they have an example. They say, listen, Prophet Muhammad in his first propagation of Islam relied on persuasion to bring people to the fold of Islam.
Right. So the point
These are the quietest Salafis.
Salafists are not inherently violent.
No, some of them are not.
But they are in principle wanting a Islamic State.
Yes.
A return to the pure Islamic State.
Yes. They all
just
want...
by different means.
Yes,
right?
by different means. They all want to create that Salaf society, as I mentioned.
You have the quietists.
The quietist, and then the Haraki Salafist, or the activist Salafist. The activist Salafists, they believe, no, they should be involved in politics so as to counsel the rulers, because they believe that the rulers of the Muslim world have done many mistakes, so they have to be involved in politics to counsel them in order to have the next phase to bring about that Islamic State.
But though you label them activists, they aren't actively engaging in violent upheavals.
Well, these are the Salafi jihadi now. Okay. The activist now, and this is where it is a gray area. You could be an activist Salafist, for example, in Iraq or in Lebanon, but then you could be a Salafi jihadi in Syria. You know, where you are not involved in jihad in Lebanon, but you could be involved in jihad in Syria. And this brings me to the third branch of Salafism, and they are called the Salafi jihadi. The Salafi jihadi believe that the quietist Salafi and the activist Salafis, they are wasting their time. How they are going to bring about that Islamic golden age of Islam? They only way to bring it about through violence. And this is why they are called Salafi jihadi, because they believe only through jihad, waging war against the infidel, waging war in the path of Allah, in the path of God. This is how you are going to bring about the Salaf golden age of Islam.
So apart from their own belief that they should return to this golden age,
yes,
is this belief grounded in anything else but a political ideology on their end?
Theology.
It's grounded in a theology.
It's grounded in theology. In how? Mainly, in theology, in the concept of Tawheed, or the oneness of God. And this is why, you know, when I speak about Salafism as a movement, it's very concerning to me, because they, as you mentioned...
What does the oneness of God have to do with actively engaging in violent war to bring about a caliphistic state?
All right. It deals with how you are going to apply yourself as a true faithful Muslims. And this is associated in belief and in manifest action. How you go ahead and believe, act as a Muslim, introvertly and extrovertly.
So, but Christians believe in the unity of God.
Yeah, but
Christians believe in Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, one person, unified.
Yes.
And fundamentally, as a theologian, rather, as a Christian theologian, we believe we are united in the body that is Christianity. But what does the unity of God still have to do with waging active war?
Because they split the war. They split the world into the realm of believers and the realm of unbelievers. So those who believe in Tawheed God, mainly in the unity of God, they are in the realm of the believers. Those who don't believe in that, they are in the realm of unbelievers. And here let me...
Salafist jihadists believe that they have a duty to not only convert the unbelievers to the believers, but do so by means of violence?
Exactly, absolutely. And here let me explain what do I mean unity of God. It could be in the oneness of lordship, oneness of godship, and oneness of the name of attributes. Oneness of lordship, meaning they believe that Lord was the creator. If you attribute any creation to other than God, this is unbelief. And then you have oneness of godship. God is this subject, the focus of and devotion of your belief. If you associate any worship with other than God, this constitutes unbelief. So this is why now, if for example the Shia, they believe in God, they believe in Prophet Muhammad, but also they believe in Ali as a central figure in Islam.
Which is why Salafism is also now opposed, though, however, to Shia.
To Shiism, to Sufism, to everything that is not following their own version of Islam. And this is what's so concerning about them, even if they don't pursue non-violent means to bring about what they call that Salaf golden age society.
Right.
And this is very concerning.
Yes. I think in perhaps the most provocative sentence throughout the entire book, towards the conclusion, you say, no less significant, this book shows that Salafism, as a fundamentalist ideology separating the believers from the unbelievers, poses an ideological and practical threat to the Levant's plural society, or the potential for a plural society, and to the region. Although Salafists share basic principles, they have divergent and even contradictory ideologies that frustrate peace.
Correct.
So not all, to be clear, not all
Salafi pursue violent means.
Right, and not all, obviously not all Muslims
Absolutely.
are Salafists.
Absolutely.
But this return, this ideology is what is at work now in the Arab countries.
And it's appealing. It's appealing because you have because you have grievances. You have internal domestic grievances, you have regional grievances. They believe they're attacked by the West. Political grievances, all kinds of grievances. And this is where the Salafists come. They will tell, listen, we are going to take you back to the authentic way. We are the authentic Muslim. We are the faithful Muslims. And this is extremely problematic. Why? Because they set themselves aside from all Muslims.
Right.
So here, even if you are a Muslim, and if you don't follow their ways, you could be. You could be an unbeliever. And this is what I mentioned in my book, something extremely important. Other than the theology, they create what I call an emotional distance, plus that theological distance between themselves and all other people, including Muslims. And how this is going to sit well with pluralism, or with the potential of pluralism, not only in the Middle East, but throughout the Muslim world.
Right. So when people use the word fundamentalist Islamic terrorist, they're talking about Salafism.
Salafi jihadism.
Right. And this book is not just a book about Lebanon and Lebanese politics, but it sort of situates the conversation in Lebanon, using Lebanon as sort of a lens through which we can understand the whole.
As a case in point.
Right.
Yes.
I think it was a fascinating read. Fascinating read. I'm encouraging all viewers to buy it, to become educated, I think, in the politics and the history of what's happening now. Concluding thoughts on today's conversation. Is there hope?
Well, there is hope. I believe that Islam is going through a crisis. I believe that Muslim rulers should be more enlightened rulers. They should have more open space. And they should really work to better the lot of Muslims.
Hopefully through dialogue and through...
And it's going to take a long time.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure, Henry.
And
thank you again for hosting me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Into a prominent religious movement in Lebanon and the Levant is Robert Rabil, professor of political science at Florida Atlantic University. He is also the author of a new book, Salafism in Lebanon, From Apoliticism to Transnational Jihadism, of many fundamentalist Islamic movements whose followers consider themselves the only, quote, saved, unquote, sect of Islam. Salafism has been little studied and is poorly understood. But to discuss the emergence and the development of Salafism, a return to the history, the evolution, the development of fundamentalist tendencies in Islam, which you label as Salafism. So I don't think the general public, however, is really all too, neither was I before reading the book, with the term. Robert, welcome to the program. A timely topic, particularly with respect to the extremism labels being thrown around, the fundamentalist labels being thrown around, with the activity in the Middle East, with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The book is really... On today's program, we'll discuss what the Catholic Church thinks about divorced and cohabitating couples and the LGBT community. But first, Salafism is best perhaps known for the ideologies of Salafi jihadism, such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. It is actually comprised, however,